What's up, boys? First build guide of the league. I know we're like 2 months into the league at this point. I've just been playing heaps of builds and haven't really stuck with one. And I haven't been playing my own builds, and this is kind of my own like first like variant of someone's build. This build is a Deadeye variant of 787 Prada's Chillnado Ritualist, so play is very similar to his, but with the added twist of the Deadeye Ascendancy, which I think makes this build even better on this Ascendancy than on Ritualist. We take advantage of the Deadeye Ascendancy, like this node, these nodes, to gain and consume more frenzy charges than would be normally. I will talk more about that later in though, at the end of the video, as why I think Deadeye is better for this build. First, we're going to go over the gear though. On our gear, we are hybrid energy shield and evasion, but we only have a hybrid chest piece here for chaos res and stats. I'll go over the weapons first though. So on weapon set 1, we have a Tangle Tongue, because this is best for classes like Deadeye and anything that isn't an Amazon, as a spear that would be better in this case would have to be almost a Meritia spear, and Tangle Tongue just gives us 20 int. The Fork's critical hits is like super insane, and it just has such high base crit that it's absolutely insane, and I definitely think it's going to get nerfed next league. We have our damage on weapon set 1, and we have our attack speed on weapon set 2. I'll go more into this later, but on weapon set 1 we have our Tangle Tongue, and with crit damage bonus you want high crit hit chance as you can and high as crit damage bonus as you can. 2 sockets is also good here. Then we also have a Sacred Flame. Now, you don't need to have a Sacred Flame, but I would recommend taking Sacred Flame as your first chase unique item, as it is not super expensive and it buffs your DPS by like insane amount. Like my DPS on Twister goes from 35k to 26k. It's giving me 9,000 DPS, which is more in some cases, with more buffs and etc. But we have a second weapon slot. We have Sky Sliver with as much base attack speed as possible and increased skill speed runes in it. This is for, I'll get into more reason later on, but this is for our second weapon slot, which we have slotted in more attack speed, so we can move super fast with Whirlwind Slash and all our other abilities. The Sky Sliver also has like the highest base attack speed, as it has this node as well, and it is the highest attack speed base of any spear. The wing spear is the fastest, full stop. But if you do not have enough currency for Sacred Flame, definitely still run another scepter with just some spirit, maybe some attributes if you can't get them early game. But Sacred Flame's really not needed, but if you have that currency, definitely buy it. Tooltip does not matter on this build at all. I'm sitting at 35k, but we shoot so many projectiles that the tooltip is obsolete. For the rings, and amulet. On our amulet, we want to run a solar amulet for that extra 10 spirit, which I'll get into why later on. We want increased maximum energy shield with defense modifiers to increase that, and we want as much critical hit chance and critical damage bonus as we can. I also allocate Overwhelming Strike for more crit chance and crit damage bonus, but you could even go Storm Charged maybe. You could go Barbaric Strength if you want some more strength and you don't mind the mana cost of your skills. There's multiple other anoints you can go as well, but maybe even Subterfuge Mask if you want more evasion. I have like 61% evasion, which I think is fine. I don't need Subterfuge Mask. It would make my build more tanky, but more damage, more good, am I right? So on the rings, I have a Breach Ring with as much attack damage as I can and 30 of any attribute, and all elemental resistance. I have all elemental resistances because I'm lazy. I don't have the currency to put 45 lightning, 45 cold on one ring, and then 45 cold, 45 fire on the other. I just use all elemental resistances because it's easy. And you want as much base attack damage to attacks as possible, because that's pretty much where all our damage scales. On the second ring, I have a gold ring with, instead of heaps of attack, we have a little bit of attack, but we have lots of rarity and attributes and elemental resistances. But this is nice for now. For the bout, I do have ingenuity with corrupted with maximum energy shield and bonuses from rings, which gives us quite a bit of tooltip. But if you don't have the currency or you don't have the attributes to use your other items, and then you can get a rare belt with strength and chaos res. Now, for your chest piece, you want the Rambler jacket for the implicit chaos res and as much evasion energy shield as you can get, and some resistances. I have cold and lightning on this. The 18 intelligence is just what it got. It doesn't not matter at all. Even though I didn't have it, I'd probably still be able to run the item. For your helmet, you want as much energy shield as you can get, and you want 25 rarity and some resistances on it. You could probably run crit chance if you don't need the rarity, but I just prefer to go rarity here because I don't really have much other rarity. I don't have rarity on this breach ring either. Now boots, you honestly do not need movement speed on your boots for this build. You're running around with whirlwind slash anyway, that it really doesn't matter and it's kind of obsolete. So you want as much energy shield and resistance as you can get on these boots. Your gloves are all for damage in my opinion. I have attack speed, intelligence, crit damage bonus, cold and fire damage to attacks. If you don't want to take some of this damage, you can also go attributes, resistances. I just bought this for like 3 divine because it raises my DPS a shit ton. It's like literally almost all my damage. Well, actually no, because I can't use Sacred Flame if I don't have it on, but it is quite a bit of damage, probably like 10k tooltip. Why not pure evasion on this build? Honestly, pure evasion is just not where it's at. If you want to run pure evasion, you could, but I don't see why you would. Because then you'd need acrobatics, and you wouldn't be able to have as much evasion rating. And I just feel being able to tank a big one-shot and smaller hits is nicer than just having to like wait on an RNG chance to be hit or not be hit. So that's why I think hybrid is just way better. And we have quite high evasion rating when we're not hybrid anyway. So we have 40%, but with our tailwind stacks we get up to 61, which is still a pretty nice chance to avoid attacks. Alright, I know my fire res says it's very low. Don't worry about that. It's because I forgot the fact that Sacred Flame didn't work for both weapon slots. I didn't think of that when making this build. But if you were not me, I would take some fire res on your rings. It would be a lot nicer, and you'd be more tanky, but it really doesn't matter too much. I just have that. Don't do that. You want to cap your res, but that's just what I have. All right, now I'm going to go into the gems. But we're going to speed up the video a little bit because I don't want it to be too long. Our main damaging ability is Twister. We have this high level as we can. And we have Salvo for more attacks, but they fire random, which is fine because we bounce everywhere and it hits the boss anyway. We have Acceleration for more weapon projectile speed and skill effect duration on persistence, so it comes back and hits the boss more times. You have Cold Bite to add cold damage when we freeze an enemy, and Primal Armament, which scales so much of our rings damage, our rings elemental damage, which is why we have it. It gives us quite a bit of DPS. The next thing we have is Whirlwind Slash with attack speed, Unbreakable, Font of Mana, and Font of Rage to generate mana so it doesn't cost anything basically. And generate us Rage. And cast our Twister out of it so it fires more projectiles. The next thing, this can be as low level as you want. Next thing is Cast on Crit. We have Sniper's Mark with max quality, Impetus for more energy, Single Out to break armor to deal more physical damage. Twister is a physical damage skill, so it's a no-brainer. Then we have Inspiration to not cost as much, and Flame Wall, so we get added fire damage when the projectiles pass through it. It's not much, but it's damage. Next we have Herald of Ice for clear, which we have Deadly Herald for more damage. We have Reach, so it has more AoE. It says less accuracy rating, but Herald of Ice cannot miss. We have Magnified Effect for more area effect. Elemental Focus. Herald of Ice cannot inflict elements anyway. It can't inflict freeze, so that does not matter. And we have Embitter, so it gains cold instead of the fire from Sacred Flame. Frostbolt, we just have low level because we only cast it so often and it doesn't do any damage for us. It's just to create cold ground, so when we go over it with our Whirlwind Slash, it infuses our tornadoes. Then we have Scattershot on it, so it fires more. We have Arcane Tempo, so it casts faster. We have Wild Shards, so it can cast 8 sometimes. And Despoiler, so the ground surfaces created by it have a longer duration. Then we have Barrage with Perpetual Charge. Premeditation for more damage. This is 35% chance to not remove charges. This can be whatever level. I have 19, just there's less cooldown time with it. Then we have Mobility, so we can cast it faster while moving. Doesn't really matter too much, it's just nice to have. And I've been trying Twofold. If you're not running Deadeye, use Twofold. But Twofold doesn't do anything on Deadeye, it seems. I thought maybe if we used it while doubling, it would like 20% chance to like have 32 attacks, but that's not the case. That'd be too overpowered. Good quality, so repeats deal more damage because this deals 45% less damage when you repeat, but we do so much damage anyway, it doesn't matter. Next we have Combat Frenzy with Profusion to grant an additional charge. This is for when we're mapping to gain our charges from freezing enemies. Then we have the Dietus Boar. This has Hasted and Haste Aura, so he moves faster, we move faster, and we attack faster while we're near him. This is very nice. You can farm one in Act 3 in the camp in Infested Baron's Trouble Camp. You don't kill them, you can use Tame Beast and respawn at the checkpoint to farm them. Get the one you want. We have Elemental Army for more elemental resistances, Loyalty, so he's a bit of a meat shield for us. And speaking of meat shield, we have that on him, so he takes less damage. Then we have Blink as well on weapon set 2 with Precision. We have 30% accuracy. This is why we have the 10 Spirit on an Amulet. So we have the extra Spirit to be able to put Precision on Blink. So while we're in weapon set 2, we're with 30% more accuracy, which gives us more attack speed because of Falcon Dive. And Ingenuity for cooldown rate, so we can blink more. Some skills you can do 5 link, and you can keep them at 4. It doesn't really matter too much. The prices of Perfect Jewel Absorbs have just dropped a shit ton, so definitely, they're only like 90x at the moment. They're probably dropping as well. I'd definitely put them on your skills. It's quite a bit of damage. Sacred Flame is free spirit. For everything in here, it doesn't cost anything. If I take them out, it will crash the game. It's definitely bugged and might be fixed, but that's just the way it is right now, so we're going to take advantage of that. There's a lot of questions about weapon swap and what I have on weapon swap, because I have different spirit on different weapon sets. So on weapon set 1, I have Twister. Weapon set 1 is our damaging one, so we have Tangle Tongue, which deals all the damage with Twister. If we swap this to the other weapon set, it would be way less damage. That's why we have it on weapon set 1, because it is more damage. Whirlwind Slash we have on weapon set 2, because this makes it so we go faster. Cast on Crit is on weapon set 1, because we have the most spirit there. If we crit, it will spawn... We only crit with Twister anyway, and then it will cast our Sniper's Mark when we use the Tornado, and just gain us Frenzy Charges and bosses. Herald of Ice we have for more AoE, which is only on weapon set 1, because there is a thing where if you cast Twister and go back to your next weapon slot, if these freeze an enemy, that enemy will still explode with Herald of Ice, because it takes a snapshot of that skill, and it's like, oh, that casted with Herald of Ice, that's going to explode Herald of Ice, because it doesn't just change to a weapon set 2 Twister, it's still a weapon set 1 Twister. So that's why it still like uses Herald of Ice. And Frostbolt we have in weapon set 2 for faster cast time, to give us that cold damage. We have Barrage on weapon set 2 as well, because it casts faster again. Everything is about speed on this build. I'm going to say it again, but like, I think this build might be the fastest build in the game. It's like, with the amount of like speed it has is just insane with Blink. On frenzies, on bosses, we use cast on crit to gain them with sniper's mark in it. And on mapping, we have combat frenzy, which we freeze enemies because we do cold damage, and that generates our frenzy charges there. And I've had a question in Twitch chat of someone saying, how do we generate like 16 barrage stacks? This is because we're going Deadeye, so it doubles our frenzy charges, like doubles the effective frenzy charges. So barrage has 2 attacks base, and every frenzy charge you get, it adds another attack. But since we have Deadeye Ascendancy, it doubles that. So then if we had 7 frenzy charges, which we've got 7 frenzy charges max because of these nodes on the tree, it doubles that to 14, so it's casting 16 times in a row. Now I'll look at the skill tree. Weapon set, just the nodes will be in the written guide, so look at the Mobalytics and the PoE2 Ninja. But for weapon set, we have all our damage, like Forces of Nature for Elemental Pen, and damage with spears, critical damage bonus with spears, skill effect duration, projectile damage, area of effect. That's all on weapon set 1. That's all damage is on the Tangle Tongue weapon set. And on weapon set 2, we have a shit ton of skill speed, accuracy, and more skill speed, and attack speed. Skill speed's better than attack speed because attack speed is only attacks. Skill speed is everything, so spells, animations, rolling, everything. And weapon set 1, we have more critical damage bonus nodes as well. Subterfuge Mask, you could take it on your Anoint, but I don't think it's needed. You don't really need that extra tankiness. If you have 3000 energy shield, it's enough. We don't take it here, but it is very useful, so maybe if you want to take some nodes off somewhere else, like here, this isn't a very useful node. It's only giving us a little bit of damage, but you could take Subterfuge Mask instead of that. We have a lot of crit damage and frenzy charges and some tankiness and attack speed on this build as well, and energy shield. It's very, very useful. We have Eternal Youth, so we can, since there's no Grim Feast in the game anymore, we use Eternal Youth, just heal our energy shield when we take damage with using our flask. And the second notable thing is Dance with Death, which, since we're not using an offhand weapon with it, and it's one-handed weapon, this Sky Sliver, it just is 25% more attack damage, which is pretty much all our attack damage is coming from. My duels are like kinda mid, but we have a Sapphire with crit chance, crit damage bonus, and then we have a Megalomaniac with Soul Bloom and Anticipation. Anticipation is the only one that matters. So skills supported by Unleash have 25% increased seal gain frequency. This works for Salvo, so instead of taking 6 seconds, I think, it takes 4.5 seconds to get to 3 charges. And I have Soul Bloom for increased energy shield recovery rate, which also helps when you're using your flask. Dance with Death is, mandatory for the build. If you don't take it, you're not playing the build, basically. Most attack speed out of anything. I have this one, the Time Loss Emerald here, which projectile damage, crit chance, and crit damage bonus with spears, which makes it so we get crit damage bonus and crit chance from all these 3 nodes. The only mandatory stats on this Emerald are the crit chance and crit damage bonus, but you could get a cheaper one without crit chance for like a Divine. This was like 15 Divines. And if you can, a Radius with large would be the best, because then it also gets this node as well. Atlas, I'll describe Atlas now. We're all into shrines, as shrines give us speed for maps, easier map clear, and also pack size in maps. So we're getting lots of pack size, quantity of items, and effect of our precursors. This is all pretty standard, pretty standard trees. I just take deferring one here because I like to defer rituals, and that's where most of my currencies come from this league. My Atlas, I would say, we put a shit ton of breach with quantity and increase rare monsters and monster packs, and bosses, breaches, all the league mechanics basically, which helps us just scale like a shit ton of loot in them. Like in the last one, just like last stream, I ran a couple rituals and I already got to 5 divine omens. So that's 10 divine in like 2 hours is just insane. Why I think Tangle Tongue is better. On any class that is not Amazon, I think Tangle Tongue is better. And even on Amazon, Tangle Tongue is super insane. Because that high crit chance is just absolutely nuts. It has low base fizz, but it's not too crazy if you can fork critical hits. That's the most important line. It's not like lucky crits where, oh, if you roll a crit and don't get a crit, it will roll it again. And crit it, like if you roll those two crits again, it will double your critical damage bonus. And that's why I just think it's better for anything that's not Amazon. And if it is Amazon, it can still be better if you're not running like a mirror tier spear. Crit is just insane at the moment, at this point in the game. I think crit is, I would say it's balanced. I feel like that's the intended way to play, but that's just me. You might have a different opinion. Crit is just like very, very nice. Like there's so many crit nodes on the tree, and it's very, I find it very fun to build into. Without crit, your damage is just so much worse. How the build works, so you're running around with Whirlwind Slash, and you're pressing your Frostbolt every time this isn't white to get the cold, and then you're pressing your Salvo when you get your Frenzy charges, and cast Twister, and then wait for that to get to 3, and then cast your Barrage again, and your Twister again, and it should bounce off walls, enemies, and just explode and do heralds and stuff. Blink is good here to move around faster, and if you're in a pickle and there's like shit ton of monsters around you, you definitely want to move away with Blink. Helps with survivability a ton. I think the build is probably the fastest build in the game at the moment that deals like the most damage relative to its speed, because you move around so fast, you have Blink, and on bossing your damage is amazing. Again, tooltip doesn't matter. You're firing like hundreds of projectiles with this build that tooltip really does not show your damage. It's like last week how Spark bounce and pierce enemies. That's pretty much Twister at this current state. It's like bounces off walls, and you try and get it to hit the boss more times to deal more damage. That's why we have acceleration persistence. And also, tooltip is weird because Tangle Tongue like doubles your crit, and like effective chance. Yeah, it's just really weird. You'd have to read into it yourself, but Tangle Tongue's just like OP. We have a lot of additives like cast on crit with the increased crit damage bonus, so that's also why tooltip doesn't matter, because this is just giving us 90% increased critical damage bonus, which is like a crap ton more damage on bosses and enemies that tooltip like does not account for this. As well, it doesn't account for flame wall damage, ignite damage. So yeah, and elemental penetration is not accounted for as well. Like these nodes. This node isn't like shown in your tooltip. And yeah, Barrage sometimes casts 16. That's because we have so many frenzy charges, 7 frenzy charges, and we use it and just cast 16 times. And yeah, most damage is coming from your gloves, Tangle Tongue, and your rings. So you have lots of flat damage, crit damage, attack speed, and flat damage on your rings, and that is like a lot of your damage at this current time. I can't use it without it, but you get the idea. We're also getting Rage, it does account for the tooltip, but you don't really look at the tooltip when you have Rage. Rage is like 1% increased damage per Rage, and we get that from Whirlwind Slash, from Font of Rage. If you want to play this build and you're bored of like Lightning Spear, Wind Serpent's Fury, I definitely recommend switching. I've had so much more fun. The mapping's faster, bossing is very similar, but you're not gonna like one-shot a boss with this. Well, you could, but if you had more damage. But Wind Serpent, I found when I was playing it, it was finicky to get the charges on the boss, then use the skill, and have to knock them into a wall. And I just didn't like that playstyle, so I switched to this. And the gear from Wind Serpent's Fury is very similar, or Lightning Spear. So that's why I definitely recommend switching to this, because very similar gear, and it's way more fun and faster. Why I think Deadeye is better is because Frenzy, just like in its current state, Frenzy charge generation is just like not amazing to get if you're not playing Deadeye. And when you can just like instantly gain all your frenzies is just like insane, and doubling your frenzies is just like absolutely nuts. And we take Deadeye here because we take all these nodes, which helps us deal more with our frenzies, which is like a lot more damage because then we fire a lot more tornadoes. I think Deadeye is the best Ascendancy in this game for that reason, because frenzies are just like OP at the moment, and even if you weren't taking frenzies, the additional projectile was amazing and just tailwinds. 3% less damage taken per tailwind. You gain increased skill speed on tailwind, and increased evasion rating. I just think tailwinds is very nice for movement speed as well. Attack speed is just like insane. For leveling, you could level with like some lightning spear tangle tongue build, which is what I did. But there's also the rake stomping ground going around. I haven't played that because I haven't really leveled a character after this one. Stomping ground's probably the best for leveling this. That's probably the end of this build guide. I want to give a shout out to 787 Prada. I'll leave his links in the description. He, original creator of this build, he was playing it on Ritualist, I believe. I'll leave the link to his video there, and also his channel. Please check him out on Twitch as well. Very good streamer. There will also be a guide for, like, I think level 92 Mobalytics. I'm level 94 at the moment, but the Mobalytics is level 92, and they'll be in the description. I have a upgrading PoE2 Ninja that like updates with the exact gear I'm using. You can check that out. That'll also be in the description. Come say hi on the Twitch stream as well. We're streaming pretty much every day. We're on the grind. And if you have any questions about this build, Twitch is the best place to ask. All right. Well, that's it. Peace.